Start with you, Alex. After Van is diagnosed with mirror touch, Oliver shares coping mechanisms that will allow him to still do his job effectively. And one of which is finding that emotional anchor. And there's a touching moment in episode 6 where Van tells Erica how he leaned on her, who have been the anchors in your own life and career. And did you channel them into that dynamic between Van and Erica?
Yeah, yeah, great question. I think people in my life, particularly like my close family members, my parents, for sure, really close friends, best friends, and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's priceless, it's invaluable to have that type of support. So if you have that, it's wonderful, and some people don't. And it's kind of one of those things that I was very fortunate and lucky enough to have in my life. And yeah, I think we're a herd species. We need community and people to lean on. So yeah, it's very important.
Great answer. And then Spence, what's so interesting about your character is how he went from being celebrated on the field to this often thankless profession, but he's learning how his past can impact his present and future. And with each new episode, we're seeing his walls come down. Which patient has the biggest impact on Jacob's journey? And as an actor, how did you find where this character sits within you and the nuanced journey that you take audiences on this season?
Well, yeah, Kevin, you do ask some incredible questions, if I may say so myself. But Jacob in uh, episode 5 has a patient that he's dealing with named Steve. And I feel like and it's a really close one for me between Steve and Nija, our guest star actor who portrayed a coach in episode 2. It's really close for me between those two, but I think Steve takes the cake here because he forces Jacob to look within himself and deal with something that's maybe been a question for some years that he hasn't really gotten an answer to. And also, maybe this is why some things feel a little bit off. Maybe this is why I have a little headache or a tremor here. But yeah, Steve was definitely most impactful for Jacob. And then as far as getting into um, the mind space or the headspace of Jacob Nash, I mean, he felt very close to home for me. And over the course of the season, I have only continued to be inspired by him and just the way he was able to pivot in life and take advantage of every single opportunity to get him to this point here today, where he is a neurologist under Dr. Wolf. I mean, he's one of my biggest heroes at the moment for sure.
Such a great lesson for audiences to learn about pivoting during adversity. And Alex, I imagine this is a dream role for you as an actor because character feels so deeply, but I also imagine it's challenging where his emotions can change so drastically. And there's such a groundedness that you brought to Van that's so compelling to watch. With this being such a rare condition, what is that prep work like doing the research, but also finding that intersection of preparation and living in the moment and feeding off what your scene partners are giving you to bring that authenticity to screen?
Yeah, well, I mean, well, thank you. That's very sweet of you to say. I'm glad that, you like it and all that. And it's a thing that like you said, it's a very rare condition, so there weren't a lot of people to find about the research, but there are a few. And luckily our creators and creative team had this one doctor in particular that they were in contact with, and so I got to do a bunch of research on him. And yeah, as far as the rest of it, it's really just trying to really be present and open and listen and be vulnerable and kind of I think empathy in a weird way, it's like a muscle. Like, I think it's one of those things that can
Mm,
be, the more you tap into it, the more open you get and the more easy it is to just really, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. But yeah, but I mean, I'm also not gonna lie, there was times trying to get to these emotional, places that were very challenging and so, it's just one of those things where, you just try to show up every day and do the best you can. And luckily we have a great cast and a great group.
Yeah.
So kind of like if you do really just listen and be present, it's pretty, it's just kind of there. Like our guest stars were phenomenal. This
hmm
cast is just, yeah, really a dream team. So
That shows in family comes across on screen. And then Spence Jacob brings a lot of levity to this series with his quippy one-liners. How much of what we see in that final product is scripted versus improvised? And because you're so well versed in the comedy space, how does that comfortability of that playground and the character allow you to take agency over his arc and take more risk in your performances?
Sure, sure. I mean, our team through and through is all star, creme de la creme. Our writers, a lot of it, writers, 100,000%. Like actually, a vast majority is writers. They let me have my fun too, and let my improv come through at times as well. But yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff is scripted. That's what you see in those green revisions, and then you just bring the life to it. But to Alex's point, I mean, just having great creatives to just go to work with every single day, it's going to bring something new out of you, and it's going to bring the best out of you. um, as well. But yeah, so having the comedy chops, I mean, AP Bio was really really fun for me, just in the sense of which is also under NBC. That was also that's in the NBC family. But I mean, just to go to work every single day with Glenn Howerton and Patton Oswalt, it was like I felt like I learned so much every single day. And then bringing the quirkiness that is Spence, it just it gives me a lot of creative license to just try new things. And every single director is awesome, and they create a space for you to be open and try new stuff as well.
I can't say enough great things about the two of your performances. And there's also this shared thread between your two characters in the way that they may have initially viewed their past or diagnosis as weaknesses, but they ultimately become their greatest strengths. As we look ahead to the back half of season one, what can you each tease about what's in store for your character and how they'll tap into their inner strength?
Mm.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, there's some love triangle-ish
Triangle
maybe
stuff.
that might happen. There's some, not only with our characters. I mean, there's a lot of like, dynamics, that are happening. There's some relationships forming, there's some relationships ending, there's
Mhm.
relationships changing, evolving, things like that. So I think that's a big one. But also, like you said, there's this now they're tapping into their what was a challenge and a hindrance and a weight, and now they're using that to their, to empower themselves. And so there's some great moments and great episodes where they end up, kind of being able to take that and kind of use it to the advantage and to help people and to help patients and to help themselves and to help repair their past, like whether it's family relationships or other things in their past. So
Yeah. The second half of the season, you're just going to see the Jedi's become, I'm sorry, the Padawans become the Jedi's. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see that transition and you're going to see it land beautifully.
yeah.
That's a great teaser. And then, Oliver is also known for his unconventional methods. Just a fun question for you. For each of you, what's the most unusual, unexpected thing that you've done to prepare for a role?
Oh.
Most unusual thing?
Like an unorthodox way to go about preparing for a role. I feel like most
Uh,
of the stuff I've just kind of, what I mean, if it's like, if he's I mean, this is kind of weird in a way, but it was like I did a role where I had to be a guy who was a dirt biker. And so, I mean, it's not unorthodox in the sense of a lot of people try to do like the methody thing. But I went out and I bought a dirt bike and I didn't have a dirt bike license and I rode it around and crashed it. And I was like, this was stupid. I could have broke my leg and then I wouldn't have been able to do this movie. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So that was
yes.
a little silly, but and also it like had nothing to do with, his like emotional, like like the character's core. It was just like an aspect of him. But
Hmm.
I guess that was kind of unorthodox, but I also feel like a lot of actors do stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's like if you think about it, every single time you dive into a role, it's a bit unorthodox because you're taking on something that's a little bit foreign to you. And if I had to, put it all on like one experience, I mean, I got a chance to film a show back in 2019 called We Are Who We Are, and we got to live in Italy for like a month before actually filming the show, just so we could be immersed in the environment. But being in a space where people are talking a little not funny but different, and you're trying to learn how these people, Italians, we're talking about Italians, how you're trying to learn how to speak the language and learn their customs and yeah, just being immersed in that world and be believable in that world. That was a bit unorthodox because that was just a kid who's never been overseas who has to
Hmm.
kind of handle all of this stuff being thrown at him all at once. But it was awesome, and you handle it and you rise to the occasion. But yeah, that was really different. That was super different, Kevin.
Yeah, I feel like Dirt Bike Alex is just so fitting for your personality. I got one final question for the two of you, but this show doesn't work. This show doesn't work unless you believe the camaraderie amongst the interns and chosen family is such a running theme. How have the two of you been able to build that bond off screen so that it resonates on screen?
This is my guy. Like
Yeah, and since day one.
Alex,
Yeah.
yes, seriously, like special place in my heart. I couldn't say enough great things about this guy here. Alex Mang is what I call him. Alex MacNicoll, do you get? No, I'm kidding. But
That's my
yeah, I call him Alex Mang, and he's just awesome. Someone to lean on through tough times. Someone to invigorate you and make you feel like you're 25 feet tall. I mean, he's the best, and obviously that'll come across because like it is real, and it's not like it's not hard, it's not forced, it's not forced with these guys at all.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's so
we got
easy.
lucky. It was just it was one of the we all met, we all got there, and it was honestly it was like we all got along. We all are very unique in our own ways, but there's this love that we have. It really does feel like this like it feels like a team of something. Like whether it's, in
Hmm.
the field or like if we were like on a, a journalist team or whatever it is, like we feel like there's this bond between us and
Yeah.
it's cool. And then and Spence is one of the nicest guys in the world. There's a reason why not only because of his talent that he's on like 20 different shows at one time, also just elevates the set and the atmosphere. And knock on wood, I mean, hopefully we get season two, but it's
Yeah.
this cast where we have no bad seeds and it's a true pleasure and it's a dream team. It's really like, I think that also might be coming across because it's a positive environment. Everybody's happy to be there, everybody shows up. They want to be there, and we all enjoy working with each other and hanging out with each other. We all hang out.
And kicking it.